but these were actually spawned in-house here. So I spawned them back in 2019, October 27th of 2019. So they're almost 2 years old. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the life cycle, but this is what they look like now. They're only, I don't know, maybe 3-4 millimeters. Some might be 5 millimeters. Still pretty small.
Okay, and so you're able to just grow sea stars, make life here at the aquarium. Can you tell us a little bit about what that process is like?
Yeah, so for sea stars, particularly bat stars, what we do is take a bunch of adult bat stars and put them in a bath of water that's 5 degrees Celsius warmer. So that's like 10 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer. And that temperature change induces these adult bat stars to spawn, and they'll release eggs and sperm into the water, and then that will create a fertilized egg, and that develops into a planktonic bat star larvae. So yeah, that's sort of the process we use here. And the reason why we heat them is because it kind of simulates, usually a lot of these animals will spawn in the spring when the waters get warmer. And so by doing that temperature change, it creates, kind of simulates that warmer water that they might experience in the wild.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Ellen and some folks there might be wondering. So this temperature change that you do here at the aquarium, that's something that happens in the wild, right? So you're trying to figure out what's going on in the wild, what might induce them to reproduce. And then if you can mimic that in an aquarium setting, then you got little fresh bat stars for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, yeah, pretty much summarizes what we're trying to do, is recreate what they might experience in the wild.
Awesome. And so can you tell us what stage of a baby bat star is this? If people are, we've got some folks studying them, there's a few different stages. What is this? So
this is just a settled juvenile bat star. So, you know, it's pretty much, they do go through planktonic stage, but this is like the settled, and it'll just stay like this and just get bigger and bigger and eat all the detritus and algae and whatever they find. But it'll eventually grow into an adult bat star sometime in the future. Very slow growing.
Ellen, we actually had a really great question kind of regarding that over on Twitch about that temperature change there. How do things like El Nino affect that? Do we see like an explosion of bat stars when that happens?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that, but I think anytime you have temperature changes, it's sort of more like, if, like in the case of a lot of these animals, if you grow them in warmer water, they'll grow faster. So that, I don't know if you know, different water temperatures increase their, you know, their survival or what the deal is, but I do notice that they grow faster if it's in warmer waters. But yeah, I would say with El Nino, the big thing is currents changing. A lot of these animals depend on currents, especially because they have a planktonic stage. So they're depending on currents, and you know, obviously that's going to drive them to different areas, and different areas of different concentrations of food. So I can't tell you the exact answer, but I'll tell you that that does play a role in currents and ocean and where these animals might go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks. Can we also talk about like what we're seeing up there in our little bat star? Like, can you point out some of the cool features of our friend?
So those little appendages that you see at the tips of its little I guess little arms, those are tube feet. So they're a lot longer than you would see in the adult bat star, but that is how they move around. They're a little sticky, so they move around with those. It's how they feel their environment. And then underneath in the center, which you aren't going to be able to see, is actually their mouth, and that's what they're eating from. And yeah, that's kind of the basic anatomy of a sea star. You know, they eat and they poop out the same hole, and it's just, you know, it's great.
Yeah, and people were curious. Most of it looks white to them right now. There's that kind of yellowish green spot in the middle. Is that it developing its color, or is it something else?
I believe so. I think it's developing its color, because it could also be the gut. If they have food inside, it could be the gut, and it kind of does look more like it's like algae and stuff that they've been eating. I'm not sure at what age they start to develop the coloration or at what size. Because I do have a funny story about that, though.
Oh.
So I spawned these like almost 2 years ago, and I put some on a water table that we have out here. And, you know, I think I just moved them around. And like a few months ago, my coworker was like, hey, there's a baby bat star on this wet table. And it was like really big. It was like 3/4 of an inch big already. And it had coloration and everything. And we were like, well, the only way that could have gotten there was from the ones that we spawned. So it's interesting because they're the same age, but it grew up in warmer water. So that one's already a lot bigger and it's got coloration. So I don't know if it's a size thing or what when they hit a certain size. But
did we talk about how big this one is? That
oh.
There's one coming in.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Big buddy.
They're probably about 5 millimeters right now, 3 to 5 millimeters. Pretty small. You can see them with the naked eye, but they're still pretty small.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, one question that we have here, and Emily is checking more of the chat. So, if you folks are sending us messages, that's Emily right there checking the chat over here as well. One question that I have for myself is, can we enhance? Can we zoom in?
Oh, yeah, we can.
Oh, boy.
Okay, let's try this. Okay, get ready. Okay, we're zooming in. There we go.
Enhance.
And let's focus this a bit.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Now you can see all those tube feet.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
look at those little snowflakes. Can you tell us a little bit about the skeleton of the bat star as it's going by there?
It's running away. Yeah, they do
Oh.
have a hard skeleton, and it's, you know, it's part of their protection. It protects them from any potential predators, and yeah, I mean,
It's,
that it?
it's amazing to see. So you were mentioning tube feet. So for the folks out there watching, tube feet is how they move around. Can you describe that a little bit? Folks are watching them
Oh yeah,
sprinting right now.
it's running away from us. Yeah, so 2 feet, they are found on the bottom of bat stars. Actually, a lot of echinoderms have them too, but let me just focus this. But yeah, the 2 feet are used, you know, kind of what they use to move around here on the bottom of the seafloor. And, you know, they've got a lot of them, as you can see, and it's just how they move around. It's like having a little feet just to move around instead of just having like 5 big feet. They've just got hundreds of little tiny ones.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
People really enjoyed the zoom in there, Ellen.
Oh,
Yes.
good. Well,
I mean,
if we can get them back on the screen here, we can try 2.0. But they're very fast, as you can see. They're like on the move.
The search for the sea stars.
And so what is that tool that you're using there?
So this is I don't really know the specific name. It's a stick,
It's
a pointy
scientific
stick.
poking
It's
stick.
it's
Yeah.
a nice stick.
It's a stick, but yeah, it's good for getting these guys back on screen here as they run away. Here he is,
There it is.
or it is. I don't know if it's a male or a female.
Oh, look at that.
It's so
Okay.
cool. Ellen, we had folks curious about how we feed these tiny juveniles.
Yeah, so at this stage, they're just kind of eating dead algae that's on the bottom. So I actually just have them in a holding tank in the back with a lot of like dead algae and stuff like that. I also take microalgae, which is like the, you know, algae that's in little tiny cells, and then just like let it kind of die and take all that scuzz and stuff off the bottom and feed it to these guys. Seem to like it because they're growing and getting bigger.
Yeah, no complaints. Sent
No
to the
complaints.
chefs. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nothing has been sent back.
no, it has not been. So that's good. I assume they're eating it. That's how I know. I don't know.
We also had a great observation, especially now that we have the enhanced view again
Mm-hmm.
here. Folks are noticing how fuzzy it looks. Can you talk about what's on the back of our bat star friend there?
Honestly, I don't know why it does look fuzzy. I think it's just the way their their outer exoskeleton, the way it's structured. It just is made out of different little segments all come together. And so I think that's why it looks a little fuzzy. But yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, going back to the questions. Let's see here. Oh, we had another, someone making the observation that they kind of look like a fried egg. Right now.
They do.
Sadly, they won't keep that coloration. They will. What colors will they turn? How about that?
Who knows? You know, it could be orange, it could be pink, it could be purple. What other colors have we seen? We've seen a mixture of them.
TikTok song that's
Yeah. We've seen a mixture of different colors. You know, I'd be interested to see what color these turn out because all their parents were orange. So I don't know if they'll be orange or they might be a mix or, you know, I don't know. I think that would be another interesting to learn about bat stars is how do they get their coloration and like, you know, is it based on the parents? Is it just, you know, in their environment or can they be any color? So, yeah.
That'd be really cool to find out.
So Ellen, real quick, I have a whole bunch of photos here that you gave me of the reproduction of these bat stars. So what I'm going to do now is just on the lower right, while you're still talking, I'm just going to go through the like eggs and sperm and then the different stages if you want to kind of run us through that. And
Absolutely.
folks will be watching that happening basically right here on the screen. We're going to go through a little slideshow of bat star reproduction.
Cool. Right, yeah, well, let's do that.
So I've got the eggs and sperm up now.
Yeah, so the eggs and sperm, there's female bat stars and there's male bat stars. And so as I was talking about, when we do that temperature increase, usually the males will start to release sperm and then the females will start to release eggs. And then, you know, the males is this kind of this white, clear or whitish sort of stuff. And then the eggs, it's actually little tiny spheres, and those are their eggs. And they'll release those into the water. Yeah.
All right, now we're on to the cell division here.
Yeah, so this is really cool. So, you know, once the eggs fertilized, it starts cell division. So, you know, that little cell splits into two and you get two little cells. And then it'll keep dividing that cell. And then, yeah, I think we'll see that in the next picture.
Yeah, and now we've got the gastrula.
Yeah, so one of the first things they do is they form a stomach. So you'll see in the center there's a kind of a little thing coming in. That's actually going to be the future stomach of this little bat star. And what's really cool about this whole process is that it's actually, they're going to be a plankton first in their life cycle. So you're probably familiar with bat stars just being like on the ground, on the bottom, but bat stars actually start their life cycle in the water column, which is really cool. And it's actually what we call a meroplankton. And the meroplankton is something that starts or actually has a life stage that's in the plankton or in the open water column. And then eventually it settles down and becomes a benthic animal. It lives on the bottom. So yeah.
Excellent. And now I've got bipinnaria.
Bipinnaria. So this is the next stage. And you can see probably that stomach's probably pretty colorful there. That's actually the food it's been eating. So at this stage, we're feeding them microalgae, which is like tiny, tiny little algae. Like you probably think of algae as like kelp or, you know, stuff you see in the kelp forest. But this algae is really, really tiny. It's just like single cells of algae. And that's actually what we're feeding these planktonic animals. So if you look at the stomach, it's all colorful because we're feeding it different types of microalgae. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, people got to see that stomach there.
Yeah, cool.
They like the idea that they go stomach first. They like that style.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
And then I've got the brachiolaria.
Okay, yeah, so this is just the next stage of a bat star. You know, as it's growing, it's developing, it just kind of goes through these different stages, just metamorphoses into these different sort of stages. I don't know exactly the purpose. I suppose it's like to get it ready for the moment that it is going to settle. So that's why it just goes through these different stages. Awesome.
And then we've got the settling bat star, the most adorable little explorer on the algae.
Yeah, so the little settling, this is probably the best picture I've ever taken, but yeah, it just was a coincidence. But so what you see in the picture of the settling bat star is there's a it's actually on an algae. So that algae is sea grapes, if you've ever heard of that. It looks like little grapes, or Botrycladia. For some reason they loved it. I don't know what was on it, whether it was, if there were diatoms on it that they loved, or some sort of cue that they were like, I'm going to settle on this. So I came in one day, had some of that, and there was just this little guy just with his little arms, or future arms, just hanging out on the algae. And so it eventually just sort of sat there. I didn't see it actually settle and metamorphose into the little settle bat star, but we caught it in the process of doing that.
And so, Ellen, this next photo I'm going to put is the photo that you took. It looks so much like a little astronaut. So here's my little Photoshop of it settling down.
Yeah.
It's going to be up on screen there. You should be able to see it here in a second here, Ellen, but there's a little bat star landing on the algae.
I have seen that, yeah. It's landing, it's a momentous moment in its life, so yeah, it's worthy of a flag. Yeah.
Awesome. So once we see that image up there, then I'll transition over to the settled bat star. And we can
okay, yeah, let's find them again. They're kind of, they love the side of the dish, so we gotta get them back into the view here.
All right.
But yeah.
Well, we're getting that going there. Ellen, we had a couple of questions. We've been talking about plankton a lot with the kind of initial stages of our bat star's life here. People were curious, what makes plankton plankton?
Yeah, so plankton means errant, so something that drifts in the water column. So it's usually just floating in the water, and it usually spends a lot of its life in that environment. There are different types. We have phytoplankton, which are plankton that spend their life in the water, but they, instead of eating other animals or other plankton, they actually use the sunlight and photosynthesize to produce their own energy, produce their own food just from using sunlight. Oh, look, that bat starts flipping over. There we go. He was a little upside down, but he's got himself right side up again. Yeah, pretty fast.
I feel like a lot of us can relate to that.
Yeah, well, back on track. So yeah, and then there's zooplankton, which are just plankton that eat other plankton, eat phytoplankton, which is actually what these are when they're in their planktonic stage. So yeah, plankton just kind of drift in the ocean, and there's different types, and it's kind of cool. Yeah.
People always think plankton have to be really, really tiny, maybe really big plankton as well.
That's true.
We have another great question about if we grow any other kinds of plankton here at the aquarium.
Yeah.
It's very apt because it's hard to tell where we are right now on the stream, but we are behind one of our jelly labs currently. So you want to talk about jellies?
Yeah, so one of the other things I help take care of here is the jellies. So those are actually those are plankton. Those are big. You may not think of them as plankton because they're not tiny, but they are plankton because they do just, they go with the flow. They can't really swim against current. So all the jellies we grow here, actually most of the ones you see on exhibit here, we've grown those all behind the scenes. So that's really cool. But also plankton, I'll show you in a little bit. We've got some sea cucumbers, but Christy Varga over on the other side has been doing sand dollars. So if you go over and see that exhibit, all those little tiny sand dollars in there, what she calls sand dimes, those are also grown here, and those also have a planktonic life stage as well. So that's also something else that's really cool that we've been growing here.
Always little investments in the sandbank.
Yeah.
Those sand dimes.
I like that.
Yeah. Do we have time for a couple more questions from
the
audience?
We have plenty of time here. Ellen, are you still good?
Yeah, I'm still good. Yeah.
All right. We talked a little bit about this, how the sea stars, they have specific genders. You have males and you have females, or sexes, I should say. How can we tell the sex of a sea star? Do we just have to wait for it to reproduce and be like,
yeah, pretty much. Right. Yeah, I was trying to figure it out when I was trying to spawn these, and it's pretty much impossible unless you spawn them. And yeah, that's really the only way you can tell.
Right on.
Yeah.
We also have questions about predators of bat stars, especially when they're this tiny versus when they are adults.
Yeah. Well, I think as a plankton, yes, they are definitely, heavily predated on, because any sort of animal that's just like going through the ocean and just filtering and eating whatever's there, they would definitely get eaten in that case. As a little baby, I'm not sure if they would have a lot of predators, because they do have that kind of hard skeleton, and I don't think anything would want to eat that.
I like that it's currently Spider-Manning on the side, just trying to be as two-dimensional as possible up on the side.
Let's zoom in on it a bit.
Yeah.
See if it focuses. It might not focus very well. Yeah. We'll just have to
like trying to get an actual
observe it from a
Spider-Man.
distance there. As it.
I just like that it's back here. Just don't see me.
Yeah.
Don't see me.
It's like,
Pay no attention to the bats.
yeah, no one knows I'm here.
That's great. Well, we've got a lot of fans over on YouTube, Ellen, that are watching. Enjoy the baby sand dollar discussion, the sand dimes that you mentioned. Yeah, lots of good discussion there. We also had, since we are like halfway through the stream here, you had sea cucumbers.
I do.
Talk about those?
Yeah, let's talk about
Emily,
some.
Are there more questions there before we go to sea cucumbers?
Well, Ellen gets set up. I will scroll through. Let's grab some more questions here. The question, the ever popular question, why are they called bat stars?
That's a good question. I don't know. They don't look like bats.
Their wings.
No.
Oh, is that why?
The webbing between their arms, I believe, is reminiscent enough of a bat wing, hence bat star. But that's also why common names are so funny sometimes, because I'm sure the bats flying over the tide pools at night are seeing their namesake in the tide pool, just like, not that good at flying, actually. Not exactly a mammal. In fact, very much not a bat.
Oh, we had a really good observation there over on YouTube, and some folks might have caught that. One of those baby bat stars had 6 arms instead of 5.
That's a good observation. Yeah, that sometimes happens. I am not sure exactly why that happens, but I think with anything in nature, it's just sometimes, you end up with an extra arm.
Yeah,
it's not harmful.
Just yesterday, Emily and Ellen, I was out looking at some moon jellies, and I found one with 6 guts. Normally they have 4.
Wow, yeah, that is.
Decided to go a little bit more, but
a little gutsier than normal.
Exactly, yeah, very gutsy.
Yeah.
That moon jelly. Ellen, who's this?
Yeah, so this is baby warty sea cucumber. Yeah, so these little guys actually respond back in March. So the end of March, about March 28th of this year. So they're only a few months old, but yeah, just like the sea stars, they have a planktonic stage, but now they're settled, and it's kind of funny. They look like
one in the bottom corner.
Cute little spiky balls.
So cute.
Yeah, let's see if
And
we can.
so this stage is still planktonic, or this is them settled?
This is them settled right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is them settled. And that little yellowish coloration, that's actually their gut, and that's the algae they've been eating.
A nice full tummy.
Yeah, nice full belly. He's been eating a lot of algae and dead algae.
Oh, hold on.
Yummy stuff.
Need to move you out of the way there, Ellen, because our little roly-poly friend is down lower. And so, similar, Ellen, I have that slideshow of the images.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll have you up on screen here, and then I'll also have our cucumber friends up higher too. But
Nice.
here, right now, up on screen below the microscope image, we have a sea cucumber spawning. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so in that image there, that is what happens when a sea cucumber spawns. So just like the bat stars, I raised the temperature 5 degrees Celsius to mimic that spring warming that they might experience in the wild. And in that photo there, you see a male cucumber spawning. And so he's releasing sperm. Females do the exact same thing, except it's tiny little legs. And yeah, they broadcast that into the water, and that's what we collect to raise up into these little guys.
Nice. I've got the eggs up on screen now.
Nice. Yeah. So the little tiny eggs. Yeah, that's just what the female produces, and hopefully, if we get a male, we can fertilize them.
And then we've got the gastrulas.
So yeah, remember, just like those bat stars, they also, have a little form a stomach first, and so that's what you're seeing there. It's just the stomach being formed.
Excellent. And then the auricularia.
Yeah, next stage, and then I believe in that picture you can see some algae in the stomach there, just like the bat stars. They're eating microalgae, and so that's what all that coloration is from. It's from the algae that they're eating.
Awesome. And the folks will see the similarity between those auricularias and the bat stars. And then here's the doliolaria.
Yeah, doliolaria. So this is a really funky looking stage. They actually shrink, and they just they kind of look more sea cucumber-ish, but they're just like, look like a little football or something, just like drifting, the spiky little ball just like drifting through the ocean. But that's what happens before they settle. So eventually that little guy will settle.
Okay, and then here's Pentactula.
Pentactula, yes. So Pentactula, that happens that's pretty much when they start to settle, and they get these 5 little tentacles, hence the name Pentactula. That they have 5 little tentacles, and then they settle onto the bottom, and yeah, it kind of looks like this basically, but this is a little older now. So, but when they first did it, they were basically a little round ball with 5 little tentacles just like sticking to the bottom of the little environment.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
And now, there's our living sea cucumber up there, everybody. So we just went through the development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's basically it. It looks very similar, but they're a little longer. They also have these 2 little tentacles, I believe, that come out the other end. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's really showing off where it gets its name echinoderm from right now, with that spiky skin. So just like bat stars, sea cucumbers belong to that group called echinoderms. So your sea stars, your sea urchins, your sea cucumbers, they're all kind of related to each other. That group that they belong to, echinoderm, again, means spiny skin. So we're seeing that spiny skin on our small friend right now. But folks were curious, they're related to each other. We've got them both in very similar stages of development right now. How different is it to care for the 2 different species?
It's very similar for bat stars and for sea cucumbers. It's just making sure they have some food available. I pretty much just, I feed them some dead microalgae every so often, and I just leave them. I let them do their thing, and I come back a week later, and they're like twice as big. So, easier. Well, bat stars are a little slower to grow, but that's actually because the bat stars are growing in colder water, and these I just happen to raise at a little warmer water, and so I think that's why they're growing a lot faster. Yeah.
Very cool. That also brings up another question that we got on Twitch there from our friend Alan. Hey Alan, what's up? We were talking about raising the temperature, makes them grow faster. Does raising the salinity turn them into sea pickles?
Oh, well, it probably would. Ideally, we probably wouldn't want to raise that salinity too much because their bodies just aren't meant to process water with a lot of extra salt in it. So, yeah, we don't want any sea pickles here.
I mean, we wouldn't be able to tolerate that either if you gave us salt water like that. Parts of us would also turn into sea pickles. All right, let's see here. We also had a question over on Facebook there. Kind of curious, Ellen, are you a marine biologist? Are we all marine biologists? What's your background?
So yeah, I am an aquarist, which is essentially a marine biologist. It's just specific for an aquarium. But yeah, so I went to school at UC San Diego, go Tritons. And yeah, I majored in ecology and minored in marine science. This was before they had a marine bio major. But they do have Scripps Institution of Oceanography down there, so I actually did a lot of work with plankton there, not knowing that I would end up doing more plankton stuff here, which is kind of funny. And then did an internship here for a little bit. Went to Ripley's Aquarium of Canada up in Toronto, Canada. Worked there for a couple years, helped open that aquarium, and then got hired back here. So I've been here about 6 years now. And yeah, I did tentacles for a little bit. Now I'm doing jellyfish and sea cucumbers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, make sure to check out our different YouTube channels there, everybody, because Ellen is featured prominently in the Tentagals video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was a fun time. You may have seen some of the videos working on baby nautilus and other things, so working with the little baby animals here.
Yeah, we also, just last week, we shared the profile. That's on our
right.
Oh,
website.
yeah.
So you can read all about Ellen.
If you want to know everything about me, just read it. No.
Her name, her birthday, her social security number.
My credit card number is also on there. Here, this guy's a little bit more mature than the other one.
He has a friend on him.
Yeah. He does have a friend. It looks like a little copepod or an amphipod of some sort. They don't seem to be bothered by it, though. Yeah. But yeah.
I like this buddy comedy. So are we looking down the mouth?
Yeah, I think that you're looking down the mouth right there. So let's see if we can focus it that
So
way.
cool.
Yeah, so that's the mouth right there. Yeah.
Oh
So
my
he's-
gosh.
And then the copepod friend just...
Mooching off. I don't know what he's doing.
I want to hear their little voices. The cucumber's just like, it's just another day. It's like, come on, let's go have fun.
Yeah. It's like, take me to the food.
That's excellent.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at their mouth right now, Patrick,
Yes.
is this when we have our very important discussion about sea cucumbers having a mouth and a butt, but they don't breathe through their mouth?
They do not breathe through their mouth. Yeah, they breathe through their respiratory trees out of the tail end. I'm sorry for having up on screen for our little moment there. Ellen, just responding to
This is not my comment.
I'm not participating.
Sorry, that's the social media team over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you tell us maybe a favorite thing about sea cucumbers?
My favorite thing about them, well, I'll tell you a fun fact about them. They're the vacuum cleaners of the sea. So, they do go around and eat everything. That's especially on the sandy bottom. So, sea cucumbers, they just go around and just eat everything that's dying, all the dead algae and all that stuff. And then they poop out little sand pellets. So if you're ever underwater and you see like piles of like little like tubes of sand, that might be from a sea cucumber. So it's kind of cool. They just go and eat all the sand and like take out all the good stuff and then poop out the sand. It's great. Yeah.
Maybe a little horrifying for the folks at the beach. Thinking about what their sand may have gone through.
Yeah. But it's clean. It's been cleaned by a sea cucumber, so that's good.
Thanks, sea cucumbers. We did have a question there. Are we raising that little amphipod, copepod friend on purpose, or did he just come in with the water?
He's just a hitchhiker. I don't know how he ended up there. He took advantage of a very clean, predator-free environment. Yeah. They end up in our... We have all sorts of stuff that you just kind of find eventually in your systems that it's not necessarily harmful. So that's that little guy.
Great stuff. Well, Ellen, we don't seem to have tons of questions over here. Folks are starting their day around the world, tuning in. If you folks are watching the replay of this, Ellen, this video will live on, so don't worry. But Ellen, real quick, what would you like to tell folks out there who might be interested in doing this kind of work? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I think a lot of it is just kind of learning about these animals, just learning about sea cucumbers or whatever you're interested in learning about marine biology. Just, learning about developing a passion for it, really getting to know it. I think one thing that does help is to study marine biology if you can. But, I think getting experience in the field or just kind of getting experience in learning how to raise these or just work with these animals. I didn't have any experience raising them. I just kind of developed that over time. But yeah, I think go looking for opportunities. The opportunities don't come to you, so you do have to go look for them. If you're interested in something, go find it if you can. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good advice there. Ellen, for people who might be coming to the aquarium, where can we find sea cucumbers and bat stars here? We won't be able to see these small friends yet. They have to get a little bit bigger before they go on exhibit, but we do have those ones that spawned here.
Yes, so we do have sea cucumbers and bat stars all over the aquarium. Obviously, they're all adult size, but if you look in our kelp forest exhibit, our Monterey Bay habitats exhibit, those are some good spots to find them. You may even be at our touch pools. But just looking at any of the local exhibits here, you'll likely just find some bat stars and some sea cucumbers in some of those. Yeah.
Excellent. We also have a question: how long is their lifespan for bat stars and sea cucumbers?
I actually don't know. Maybe does anyone know? Maybe someone else knows. I don't know.
I don't know.
Off the top of my head, yeah.
I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah, Alan, if
Good
you're
job.
still in the Twitch chat, Alan, shout out that answer for us there.
Yeah.
Well, while we see if we can find that answer, someone was wondering, what's your favorite part of the job?
My favorite part is culturing stuff, or raising or breeding animals. So, raising up these sea cucumbers, raising up bat stars, when I was down tentacles, raising up cephalopods, now raising jellyfish, like anything that we can just, see when they're young and like spawn them or whatever we need to do, and then see them as they grow up. It's really cool. That's my favorite part of the job. Yeah.
Excellent.
Right on. All right. I don't see that answer from Alan. He may have left. He might actually be doing his job.
He might be doing his job.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
There's the chance.
There is a chance, yeah. All
But,
right.
yeah, just thinking about how much time it might take for us to clean up everything in this room, and I know that your coworkers are going to be coming back in here pretty soon. Ellen, do you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to share about these animals before we wrap it up and before we see you again?
Well, I think one thing I want to say is like the importance of culturing here. I think a lot of times it's not really known, but it is really important that we culture these animals because, well, it gives us an opportunity to learn about their life cycles. Like if I had all those pictures that you saw earlier of the developing sea cucumbers and bat stars, like I wouldn't have known what they look like because if I was going out in the ocean, I wouldn't be able to see that. So it does give us this opportunity to see all these life stages, but also just for conservation, sustainability purposes, if we're able to raise a lot of these animals ourselves, then we don't need to rely on the ocean, and we can protect what's out in the ocean as well. So I do think this is all this culturing stuff is really cool and gives us a lot of information, and also just helps the ocean. Yeah.
And we love our little copepod friend that's crawling there on the back. Emily, it seems like we got an update from Ellen. From Alan.
From Alan,
Mhm.
not Ellen.
Yeah.
Ellen's the one that's here.
Alan is helping Ellen.
Alan helping Ellen. Awesome. Thanks, Alan. Alan is saying anywhere between 5 and 35 years.
Wow.
For that. So
That's a big range. Yeah.
So shout out everybody to the millennial sea cucumbers that are out there right now. You've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right on.
Yeah, anything else? I think we're pretty much going to wrap it up here. Ellen, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me share all this really cool stuff that we do here.
Emily, any parting thoughts?
Thanks to everyone who's tuning in right now, again, over on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook and Twitter. If you want to know more about what Ellen does here at the aquarium, again, you can check out that profile that we have up on our website. Just head on those same social media platforms. We posted a link last Thursday. We posted that on there, so you can check those out, as well as some other profiles of other staff from around the aquarium. If this kind of stuff, like us, gets you very excited, you could be an aquarist like Ellen someday too. I know she's like, yeah, we need more. We need more people doing this kind of awesome work because it helps us learn more about them, helps us help the ocean, which is super important. So thanks everyone for tuning in today and hanging out with us while we learned about bat stars and sea cucumbers this morning. Pat?
That's it. Thanks, everybody. See you again soon at the Monterey Aquarium. Thank you all.
Bye. Thanks, Ellen.
Bye.